Hi, I'm Christina, and I am a YA fantasy author. I especially enjoy writing about like mythology, so a lot of my books have to do with mythology. And so I have two books in a series so far that are mythology related. The first one is Cherokee folklore, and then the second one, which is the sequel, is Egyptian mythology and Roman mythology. And then I also put in like my own like little fantasy world as well. And this one is an anthology that was written by me and five other Black female authors. And they're all like retellings of fairy tales in like different fantasy or like sci-fi ways. And a couple of ours are actually related to our series that we're working on as well. So mine is based off of Bluebeard, which is probably one of the darkest fairy tales like ever, but it's one of my favorites and it's related to my series. I think for the first book, it centers a lot around friendship. Um, the main character loses her best friend before the story begins, and so a lot of it deals with how she handles that grief and the relationships with her other friends who are still around. Kind of trying to bring her out of like that, you know. Um, and then it also kind of centers around just like what mothers will do, you know. Um, the first book, Moonshadow, was actually a project in high school. I wrote it in 10th grade because my sister was the president of the poetry club at the time, and she decided to have like a NaNoWriMo National Novel Writing Month contest. And I was the only one who wrote something, so I won by default. But that's where that's where Moonshadow came out of. So I had written like a 25,000 word like story, and then like my sister loved it so much, but she was like, "Oh, we should just like turn that into an actual book." And so eventually I did, but a lot of that came from the fact that I had a writing buddy at the time. Someone like that I met at school because I just transferred from like a different school and I was like terrified, didn't really know anybody, super awkward. But I made this amazing friend. And so we would like share our stories back and forth. And she actually passed away shortly after graduation. And I decided then that because I mean beforehand I wasn't even sure if I wanted to be a writer. A teacher had convinced me that like it wasn't really profitable, so I should try to find something else. And so I was pursuing something completely different right after graduation. And then when that happened, I decided that I wanted to go into writing, finish this book because she loved it. Um, and pursue like a career as a writer because I knew that's what she probably would have wanted me to do. So to honor her, but also honor the person that I was at the time who loved writing and who wanted to pursue that in the first place. Since I wrote the first book when I was like, well, at first when I was 15, and then again when I was 19, and I'm like 29 now. I I've improved as a writer just in general. Just the way that I plot a book because I had no idea what I was doing in the beginning. For the most part, I was just sending like chapters to one of my friends, and then like that was it. I mean, I didn't really do anything to like edit it after that. Um, yeah, I know, right? So, yeah. So I would definitely go back and like just look through it a few times, honestly, just to like see if there's anything that like I felt like probably could have been better. Especially, well, I mean, with the second book, there are times when I had a feeling where I kind of wanted to put something in there and take a risk, and I was afraid to. Um, I guess also just because of my religious upbringing, there's some things that I'm just afraid to touch on. But with the second book, at a certain point, I was just like, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna throw it in. Um, it'll make the story better, and I shouldn't be afraid to take risks as a writer. I mean, what I write does not reflect on my life. I mean, the books that I write are completely different than like how I am as a person. So I think that, yeah, I mean, taking risks is kind of a part of writing anyway. So I would definitely take more risks, listen to my gut when it's telling me to do something different. I love history. Like I'm obsessed with history. That is like my thing. Which is probably why I got into mythology in the first place. But I wanted each book to kind of reflect a certain like a really important part of history, or at least a part of history that I was really interested in. Um, and also kind of incorporate ancient wonders of the world because I love those too. So so for the second book, which is uh well you kind of find out, spoiler, but there's a lot of time travel that kind of happens at the end of the first book leading into the second one. And so I wanted to introduce the Library of Alexandria, the lighthouse. So a lot of it takes place in 41 BC, I want to say. Um, and ugh, it's just like one of my favorite things I've written so far, just because describing the library, I mean, I think most readers are just kind of obsessed with the Library of Alexandria. Like everyone wants to know what kind of books that they had, what kind of knowledge that we lost because of what happened to it. Um, and so I really wanted to like throw something in there, but like I knew that people would be obsessed over, um, and myself included. And I grew up loving mythology, so I wanted to find a place where I could have all of these things happen at once, where I could have gods from different mythologies come together in one story. Because there's also Roman mythology. We encounter gods in Ephesus that, um, but like the Greeks would have worshipped, or like Greeks or Romans. And then of course there's like the Egyptian pantheon. So like Nephis, and Isis, and like all of these like ones, some that we don't even really hear about that often. I kind of wanted to throw in there, and it just I'm so happy with how it turned out. I had the like incredible privilege of meeting my favorite author of like all time a couple years ago, and Garth Nix. He's an Australian author. He wrote the I want to say it's like the Days of the Week series. My sister loved that series. I was obsessed with the Old Kingdom, which he's still working on, like 20 years later. So Sabriel, Liriel, Abhorsen, like those were my favorite books. I love them so much. Which is like kind of what got me into dark fantasy and like to begin with. And so I asked him myself, what kind of advice would you have for me? While he was signing like all 12 of my books. And he said, keep reading, keep reading your genre, keep reading like really anything that you can get your hands on, so that you can grow in your craft, see what everyone else is doing, see what works for them, and kind of uh I guess experiment and see like what could work for you. And then also to just be working on multiple projects so that when you are able to finally query to an agent, then you can have something going as well in case like they're like, oh, do you have more? Um, it's really just like being true to yourself. Honestly, don't listen to like other people saying you have to do it a specific way, because it could have worked for them, but it doesn't mean it's gonna work for you. Um, just be yourself in your writing. Don't write what's popular if that's the only reason why you're doing it. Write what you love, write what you want to see out in the world, and someone out there is going to love it too. I did send in a query like ages ago, and like I think it might have been like 2020. Um, and I got a rejection, and it was my first one, and I was so upset. Um, I knew it wasn't the right time anyway, though. So like I kind of grew into realizing like, okay, not the right time, probably not even the right story. Let me like work on something that I think will be like worthy of like an agency. But I reached out to another Black author who um who had published her first book fairly recently, and she looked like me, so I was like identifying with her already. I was like, "Oh, you seem like a really cool person." And I sent her a message like telling her how heartbroken I was that I got my first rejection and everything, and um how she kind of like her journey happened really fast. Like she sent something in, and then like 2 weeks later she got an agent. Um, and I know, right? So I was feeling really discouraged. And And she told me like, hey, uh, it happens. It's going to happen a lot, but your story, like you deserve to have your story out there. Someone out there is going to love you. Um, and even then, just with like how the industry is as a whole, it doesn't really favor people like me anyway. So, I don't know. I gotta work harder to get to that place where I know what I'm supposed to be. And it will happen. It's just going to take a little bit more time.